My child, sit across from me. I'm going to tell you something. It's something I've seen and witnessed for many years. At the workbench, in my workshop, at the bank, and in the stock market. There's a lady doctor in Chicago. She earns $380,000 a year. She has a leased BMW. Her kids are in private school. She eats out every evening. Her house payment is $4,200 a month. On paper, a rich woman, but if she suddenly needed $5,000 in an emergency, she'd either have to sell something or go into debt. I'm not making this up. There's a study Goldman Sachs did in 2025 of people earning $300,000 to $500,000 a year. 41% are living paycheck to paycheck. Even among people earning more than $500,000, 40% say the same thing. Read that again, my child. 5 out of 10 people who earn $500,000 every year feel empty-handed. These people earn in a month what many Americans earn in a year, but they experience the same feeling of financial insufficiency. When I was young too, there was a misconception like this. Most people think the troubles end once you make money. They say once you hit 6 figures, the stress goes away. Once you pass 200,000, you relax. Once you go above 500,000, money stops being a problem. Yet the numbers tell us the exact opposite. I call this the high-income poverty trap. I've seen dozens of people fall into this trap. The more people earn, the more they spend. They can't save any fixed percentage of anything. And by the time they turn 55, they ask themselves, where did this money go? This trap doesn't look at how much you earn, my child. It looks at how much is left in your hand. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just telling you about a trap that millions of people fall into without even noticing, because most people think a high income automatically brings security, but they're wrong. Now let me tell you how this trap works, who falls into it, and how you can tell whether you've fallen into it too. You'll be surprised, but according to 2025 figures, people who earn $100,000 a year say they live paycheck to paycheck more than people who earn $50,000. In some income brackets, as income rises, the felt financial strain rises too. According to one study, 48% of people earning $100,000 and above feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. And among those earning above $200,000, this rate is 36%. A study done by Bank of America counted as paycheck to paycheck anyone who spends more than 95% of their income on essential needs, and about 20% of households earning above $150,000 fall into this definition, and so do 24% of all American households. These aren't people who don't know how to do math, my child. Most of them are educated, working in good jobs. They know compound interest. They know about retirement accounts. They're aware that they need to save more. This trap has to do not with math, but with a person's own mind. As income rises, spending rises at the same rate. They call this lifestyle inflation. It happens so gradually that a person doesn't even notice. A $15 lunch becomes $25. The Honda goes, and a BMW comes in its place. Instead of a house to live in, comes a house with a guest room that's never used. Each individual upgrade looks reasonable on its own. You say, I earned it, I can afford it. The math technically works out, but as the upgrades pile on top of each other, the savings stay exactly the same, and once a luxury becomes an addiction, giving it up feels like deprivation, when in fact it's just a return to normal. I've seen and witnessed real wealthy people too. My child, these people's way of living isn't like this at all. There's a famous book called The Millionaire Next Door. It turns out most real millionaires don't look like millionaires at all. They live in ordinary neighborhoods, drive old cars, don't show off their wealth to anyone. According to one study, 94% of millionaires still live in middle-class, unshowy neighborhoods. A study done in 2025 shows that more than 62% of millionaires still make budgets, chase discounts, and avoid showing off. The typical millionaire rarely spends more than $400 on a single piece of clothing, and 60% of their homes cost less than $500,000. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. Here's the strange part, my child. The people who actually build up wealth look nothing like the people who look wealthy. The doctor lady driving around around in a leased BMW looks richer than the plumber driving a 10-year-old pickup truck who actually has $2 million in investments, but she isn't. The authors of that book define two types of people. One is a wealth accumulator. The other is a wealth non-accumulator. A janitor earning $50,000 a year, my child, can be a better accumulator than a doctor earning $700,000 a year. Spending habits determine this, not income. They have a formula: multiply your age by your annual pre-tax income, then divide the result by 10. The number that comes out is the net worth you should have. Someone earning $250,000 at age 50 should have approximately $1,250,000 in net worth. Those who fall below this threshold are people who spend what they earn instead of saving it, and most high earners fail this test badly. According to Charles Schwab's 2025 survey, Americans think you need $2,300,000 to be considered rich, and you need $839,000 just to feel comfortable. Yet the median net worth of American households is approximately $193,000. The gap between what's imagined and what's real is enormous, my child. This is where the human mind kicks in. Someone who earns $400,000 but has a net worth of $300,000 doesn't feel rich. They feel like they've fallen behind. You keep running, but you're standing still. According to the survey, 63% of respondents say that being rich requires more money this year than it did last year. The goalposts keep shifting. One person reaches $500,000, then sees that now you need $839,000 just to be considered comfortable, reaches $1 million, then sees that now you need $2,300,000 to be considered rich. No amount is ever enough because the amount considered enough keeps changing. Spending habits show how this trap actually works. Households earning above $100,000 had an average credit card debt of $12,760 in 2025. According to many studies, the top earning 20%, although they make up a small portion of the population, carry 35% of total credit card debt. It sounds strange, but let me explain it this way. Low-income households use credit to survive. The money runs out before the month does. High-income households use credit to sustain. They're financing a lifestyle that technically fits their income but leaves no breathing room. Both end up in the same place, in debt with interest. In the last quarter of 2025, total American credit card debt reached $1,277 billion, the highest level since records began being kept in 1999, up 66% since the pandemic's lowest point in early 2021. According to one study, 36% of credit card holders earning $100,000 and above carry debt from month to month, less than lower income groups, but nowhere close to zero, which is what you'd expect from people with high salaries. 61% of Americans with credit card debt have been in debt for at least a year. Last year, this rate was 53%. Debt is no longer temporary. It's becoming chronic, even for high earners. The fixed expense trap is especially dangerous for high earners, my child. When you earn $50,000, your rent is limited by what a landlord will approve. When you earn $300,000, you qualify for loans that stretch your budget the same way, but at much larger numbers. A family earning $80,000 might pay $2,000 a month for housing. A family earning $300,000 might pay $8,000 a month. Both are giving roughly the same percentage of their income to housing. Both feel the same squeeze. The high-earning families' problems are more expensive, but in terms of flexibility, they're in the same place. Private school tuition, several car payments, vacation home expenses, club memberships, these aren't frivolous expenses you already know about, my child. These are lifestyle commitments that, once established, behave like fixed costs. Pulling a child out of private school feels impossible. Selling the vacation home feels like defeat. Downsizing the car feels like announcing to everyone that things are going badly. This is exactly why the trap closes so tightly, because it's very hard to walk back from a lifestyle. According to one study, people with six-figure incomes respond to financial pressure like this. 47% postpone the vacation of their dreams. 31% delay home renovations. 26% put off buying a car. 17% delay buying a home. These delays reveal something important, my child. High earners notice that things are tight, but they still don't change the spending pattern that's creating the tightness. The savings rate tells the whole story, really. In December 2025, America's personal savings rate was 3.6%, meaning only $3.6 out of every $100 of disposable income is being saved. At the pandemic peak in April 2020, this rate had risen to 33.8%. Stimulus checks arrived. There was nowhere left to spend, and Americans accidentally tasted what serious saving actually feels like. That money is gone now. This pattern holds across every income level, my child, and that's the crucial point. High earners save slightly more in absolute terms, but their savings rates stay just as thin because their spending inflates right along with their income. Someone earning $75,000 a year who saves 4% saves $3,000 a year. Someone earning $300,000 a year who saves 4% saves $12,000 a year. The high earner appears to save 4 times as much, but relative to their own income and lifestyle expenses, both are equally vulnerable to a shock. Now compare this to the behavior of people who actually build wealth. The research in that book shows that millionaires generally set aside at least 15% of their annual income for investment before even covering their required expenses. They pay themselves first, my child. They treat saving as a necessity, not a fantasy. The gap between 4% and 15% grows enormously over time. After 30 years, someone saving 15% has built serious wealth, while someone saving 4% is left with a small cushion that won't be enough for a comfortable retirement. Social comparison is accelerating this trap, my child. Lifestyle inflation always existed, but visibility has changed. Social media shows you everyone's vacation, everyone's renovation, everyone's shopping, moment by moment. The 2025 Goldman Sachs report explicitly showed keeping up with the Joneses sickness as one reason high earners live paycheck to paycheck. Even people with six-figure incomes feel pressure to keep up with those around them, even if they don't do the math. So someone in the top 5% bracket looks at the top 1%, or at people on social media who curate their image, people who might even be more in debt than they are, and feels inadequate. The comparison is no longer limited to the neighbor, my child. It's now made against everyone who appears in a feed that only shows the highlight reel. Small expenses show where the money is actually going. Food delivery spending rose 10.2% in a year, going from $162 to $179 a month. Spending on digital streaming subscriptions rose 12.5%. Spending on ride-hailing apps rose 7.9%. These are convenience category expenses, my child. Each one looks tiny on its own. Coffee chains, food delivery apps, subscriptions. Nobody notices this slowly accumulating expense, but $179 a month on food delivery adds up to $2,148 a year. Add subscriptions, ride-hailing apps, subscription boxes, premium apps to that, and the total turns into serious money evaporating without producing any lasting value. Among high earners, this same pattern plays out with bigger numbers, but the same psychology: first-class flights instead of economy, hotels instead of Airbnb, restaurants instead of home cooking. Each upgrade looks small, but stacked on top of each other, they produce a lifestyle that eats up the entire income. Studies show that approximately 44% of millionaires spend more on experiences than on luxury goods, but they also choose carefully what they spend on. They spend on what they value and ruthlessly cut everything else. This selective, deliberate behavior is exactly what separates those who build real wealth from the high earners who fall into this trap. This also varies by region, my child. People in San Francisco said you need $4,400,000 to be considered rich. In Southern California, $3,400,000. In New York, $2,900,000. Living in expensive places inflates both expenses and expectations at the same time. A $300,000 income in Kansas City versus the same income in Manhattan or San Francisco offers a very different life. Someone earning $350,000 in New York can genuinely feel squeezed because housing, taxes, and basic expenses eat up a much larger share of their income than for someone living on half that income in a lower cost place. They're earning a coastal city salary but paying coastal city prices, and the two cancel each other out. The difference becomes very clear when you compare against actual millionaires, my child. Studies show that 79% of millionaires are self-made. They never inherited anything. Only 31% earned an average annual income of $100,000 or more over the course of their career. Most built their wealth on modest incomes through consistent behavior over many years. 73% of millionaires have never carried credit card debt. They understood that compound interest works either for you or against you, and they chose to stay on the right side of it. The average millionaire worked, saved, and invested for 28 years before crossing the $1 million threshold. Most only reached this threshold at age 49. The path was slow and boring, not sudden and flashy. This duration matters, my child, because it shows the cost of the high-income poverty trap. Someone earning $300,000 who never saves for 15 years has lost the most valuable years of compound interest. Even if they start saving later, that time never comes back. There is a way out of this trap, my child, but it requires uncomfortable choices. To get out of this trap, you first have to ask yourself, what is all this spending actually for? That doctor lady in Chicago could save $100,000 a year if she wanted to. She earns enough. She's simply spending too much to save. Choosing differently means accepting a Honda instead of a BMW, means seeing that private school isn't mandatory, means noticing that eating out every evening provides convenience far more than nourishment, means acknowledging that the house with the unused guest room mostly just impresses people who don't matter. These sound like judgments, but they're really just choices that have become visible, my child. Someone who genuinely values private education or good food should absolutely spend on those things, but let them do it consciously, knowing the opportunity cost, not just because everyone else at their income level does it. This trap isn't about deprivation, my child. It's about intention. Most people who fall into this trap never consciously chose their spending habits. The expenses piled up slowly. Each decision seemed reasonable on its own until the entire income was committed. To reverse this pattern, you have to review every recurring expense and ask whether it truly provides a benefit worth its cost. Most of the time, the answer is no. Unused subscriptions, empty square footage, rarely driven cars, memberships that confer status but serve no purpose. The principle of automation works at every income level, my child. Saving whatever's left after spending doesn't work. Saving first and living on what's left does. Someone who earns $400,000 a year and automatically funnels $120,000 of it into investments will build serious wealth, no matter how they spend the remaining $280,000. They'll still live well, just a bit less lavishly than someone earning the same amount who never saves anything. The difference between these two people grows enormously over time. After 20 years of consistent investing, the saver has built wealth that will last generations, while the spender is left with fond memories and almost no assets. The math is simple, my child. If you earn $300,000 a year and save 30%, you save $90,000 a year, and at an average annual return of 7%, over 20 years, that grows to approximately $4 million. If you earn the same income and save 5%, you save $15,000 a year, and with the same return and time frame, that grows to approximately $650,000. The difference is $3,350,000, my child. That's the 20-year cost of the high-income poverty trap. This trap persists because people are trying to grow the wrong thing. Growing your lifestyle means sacrificing future flexibility to grow today's consumption. Growing your wealth means accepting restraint today in exchange for future options. Neither is inherently wrong, my child, but only one of them leads to that financial security that high earners assume their income will automatically bring. A $200,000 income with a 30% savings rate builds wealth faster than a $400,000 income with a 5% savings rate. The math isn't complicated, my child. The behavior is what's hard. 77% of Americans don't feel financially comfortable no matter what they earn. 40% of people earning $500,000 live paycheck to paycheck. Incomes are at record levels, and credit card debt is at a historic peak at the same time. The evidence is right in front of us, my child. Income alone solves no financial problem, but conscious choices about how much of your income to spend and how much to keep are what actually create the security that people assume high income automatically brings. The trap is real, my child, but it can be broken as long as we accept that more money is never the answer. What you do with money always carries more value than the money itself. Never forget that, my child.